Hi, this is Lucia with The Art of Love. I'm a dating and relationship expert specializing in helping you get your ex back or to get over your ex. Today I want to talk about breaking no contact and what to do if you are barely hanging in there and have a strong impulse to break it, which if you have an anxious attachment style, you probably want to break it every single day. And in this video, I'm going to give you a series of what I hope will be very convincing arguments that will stop you from contacting your ex. But first, I want to welcome back my beautiful No Contact Army. If you're having trouble in no contact, then be sure to download my app Silencio. The link is underneath every single video and podcast. And you can always press the panic button if you get to that moment. And if you too would like to join our beautiful No Contact Army, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button and the bell notification and you're in. And to read our manual, go to nocontactsecrets.com where you can read 2 free chapters before purchasing the book. So right now you're feeling that you need to break no contact and you have your reasons for it. You think that the more time that goes by, the more likely it is that they'll forget you, or that they'll move on or find someone else. And that sounds logical, but you're making the mistake that everyone makes when talking about love and romance. And that is you're using logic. Logic and a romantic relationship have very little in common. People make decisions based on feelings, not logic. Because if it were based on logic, you would have walked away when your ex broke up with you, or when you were forced to break up with them because they cheated or they took you for granted. But you didn't. So if you're not being logical, what makes you think your ex is being logical? Remember, they're made up of ego, insecurity, and feelings too. You haven't heard from them, and yet you're still thinking about them. So what makes you think they're not thinking about you, since they haven't heard from you either? We never know what's happening behind the scenes. We only know what they show us and what we hear about. It's like social media. We've seen couples that we thought were in a great relationship, and the next thing you know, they break up. So you never really know what's happening behind the scenes. Remember that right now, you're in a fearful state of mind. Fear is not your friend. It rarely is. It's coming from your primitive brain, which is only concerned with your survival, and it wants you to reach out because it thinks it's not going to survive if you don't. You are literally not in your right mind. You're not in your logical mind when you're in your primitive brain. So it can't be trusted. Robert Greene, the author of many books, including The Art of Seduction, says, your desires narrow the scope of your vision. So, in your desire to get your ex back, instead of being able to see things from afar with a clear mind, you have a heightened focus on what you want at that moment, which is to have contact with your ex, as opposed to thinking long term and realizing that reaching out is not going to help you achieve your ultimate goal, which is, of course, to get them back. The immediate gratification of fulfilling your desires becomes the primary goal, overshadowing the long-term consequences of breaking no contact. At that moment, you don't care. You just want what you want, and you want it now. But your emotional state is clouding your judgment, and it's weakening your ability to consider the potential negative outcome of no contact. That's why I tell my clients they need to let me decide what they need to do, because I'm not emotionally involved and I can come from a place of logic and strategy, whereas they can't. Also, you're impatient. And when you're needy, your perception of time actually changes. It appears to be moving very, very slow. That's why you could be in no contact for 5 days and it might feel like 5 weeks. And you're impatient because you're looking for validation and security. You had it before with this person and you want it back. When we're attached to someone, the limbic system, which is responsible for emotions and bonding, releases dopamine, maintaining a craving for that person that you're bonded to. That doesn't go away when they break up with you. So the desire for emotional connection and reassurance overrides the discomfort of feeling needy, prompting you to take action or seek attention, which is what you're doing when you want to break no contact. By the way, if you like what you've heard so far, please be sure to give this video a like so that YouTube will recommend it to other people, and we will help our fellow dumpies and even dumpers get back on track. Okay, so impatience is what's going to make you want to break no contact and reach out because it's not happening on your timeline. Well, it's not going to happen on your timeline. It's going to happen on theirs. And if they're not ready, they're not ready. And maybe if you had waited just one more day, they would have reached out. So every day when you wake up, you should say to yourself, maybe this is the day he or she is going to reach out. In one of my previous videos, I told the story of a woman who was broken up with, and when she broke no contact and spoke to her ex, he said to her he was going to contact her the next day. Ugh. Imagine how she felt. And then, because she gave her power away, even though they got back together, she ended up having to break up with him this time because she was so anxious since he was now in control, as she had broken no contact and reached out to him instead of the other way around. So please keep that in mind when you have a strong urge to break no contact. Confidence is the number one quality that people look for in a mate, whether they consciously know it or not. So by not reaching out, you show that you're confident enough to move on in life without them if they don't want you in their life. However, by breaking no contact and reaching out, you're showing them that you are not confident and that you cannot move on in life without them. And that's not an attractive message to be sending. That is not going to raise their interest level. It will only lower it and boost their ego, knowing that there's someone walking around on earth that can't live without them. Now, you may be thinking, I want to contact him because I love him. I want to contact her because I love her. No, you want to contact him or her because you don't love yourself. Because if you did, you wouldn't be chasing someone who kicked you out of their life. Rejection triggers the impulse to chase, just like dropping something triggers the impulse to pick it up. Well, you should pick something up if you drop it, but you should not chase someone who rejected you. And even if it feels like you're not making any progress and like nothing happened, remember that every day that goes by that you don't contact them, you're showing them that you're strong enough to stay away. And that's where my Silencio app comes in handy. You can see your progress because every day the number goes up. And if you're tempted to break no contact, you just hit the big red panic button and you'll hear different messages from me giving you a very good reasons why you should not contact your ex. So be sure to check out the link below the video or podcast. So when you show strength by not reaching out, you're going to trigger them to second guess their decision and wonder if maybe they made a mistake. Now, in the beginning of no contact, you're going to feel like you're faking it. You're acting strong, but you're not. You know that you're walking around feeling weak. I remember one time, actually I had to break up with someone because I felt he was cheating. But I remember I felt like physically weak, like you could have knocked me over with a feather practically. So I totally understand. But it's okay to be walking around feeling weak. Just don't let your ex find out. When you're in no contact, you're feeling a lot of emotion. You may be depressed and not want to do anything. Keep in mind that depression has been described as anger turned inwards. So ask yourself, what are you angry about? Besides, obviously, being broken up with or having to break up with someone. And what are you going to do about it? One solution is to remove the E from emotion, and you're left with motion. So moving your body, being in motion, it always helps. That's why I recommend working out or doing something physical. The body needs to move, and it's going to help you take your mind off your ex, even if it's just temporary. So if you're about to break no contact, remember, impatience is not your friend. Your power is in waiting. Okay? So now I want to hear from you. Have you broken no contact, or have you been strongly tempted to break it? Please comment below. And if you would like my help to stay in no contact or get your ex back, or both, then you can contact me at theartoflove.net. The direct link is below, and we will send you the rates. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. If you're listening to this as a podcast, please rate and review. And finally, remember that love inspires, empowers, uplifts, and enlightens.